Welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of Shop Talk with Justin Shaw of SuperHeat Solutions. All right, we're here with Justin Shaw of SuperHeat Solutions. Justin, thank you for letting us come up and tour your shop. And what I always ask everybody first is, what got you started in racing and how did you get started in racing?
So what actually got me started was a nice hefty ticket. So I turned 16 years old. I got a nice little Mitsubishi Eclipse, thought it was like the fastest thing in the world, real slow. But about a month into having my license, I wanted to see how fast it could go. I got caught.
Uh-oh.
I got 3 tickets all in one. And at that time, Grandpa's place was rolling and doing real well. So I got pretty lucky, and my mom convinced him, like, hey, let him get in a race card so he's not doing this stuff on the street. And actually turns out that's a pretty good idea.
Right, right.
So now I drive like a grandma on the street, because I know that these race cars can do their thing on the track, and you can get all the adrenaline you want there, and
Right.
just keep it in the right environment.
A lot more fun and less policed. I know there's a lot of history in this building.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what does this building have to do with your family? Let's start there, because I know there's might be some people that are watching that don't understand like who you are and that type of stuff. So kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so my grandpa is C.J. Rayburn, widely known as the innovator of the sport. Started with kind of cobbled together cars, little Ford here, little Chrysler there, and just pieced together a car that started going around in circles. And then they went to the full tube chassis and took off from there. Before the whole dirt thing, he was an engine builder. So when we do the shop tour, we'll start in the engine room, which is where it all started. So, you know, throughout the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you about had to have a Rayburn.
Right.
So he's, you know, that's what he's done forever. And when I was growing up, I spent a lot of time out here holding washers on the back of pop rivets for all the shop guys. So that's where I learned everything. Just watching these guys work, little tips and tricks, just, I mean, down to little things like if you gotta, you know, hold a washer up to something, you can put some grease on it and stick it up there if you want to. So there's a lot of stuff that was learned. Every time I've had stitches is from this place. So, I mean, you know, first time flipping a four-wheeler, right out there in the field.
Right.
So just spent a lot of time here, learning, doing dumb stuff.
Right. So going into now, how did SuperHeat Solutions start? Like, what's behind your business? How did that get started?
Yep. So I raced for Grandpa on and off from when I was 16 back in '04 all the way through 2015. Off and on a lot, '08, '09. Lucky enough to grab a handful of wins. And then I got the opportunity to drive for Brian Bowman. Did 2 full years with him. And the business actually started because I wanted to keep my racing money separate from my day job. So I was doing my own bodies here. I had access to the shop. So a couple guys started asking me, hey, can you do my body? Can you get some parts for me?
Gotcha.
And it grew and evolved, and now here we are 5-6 years later, and was able to get the shop wrapped up, and now I live up in the house. And
Gotcha. Where did the name SuperHeat Solutions come from?
so actually, I give my cousin props for this. He was in the HVAC field, and racing out of this place, you had to make the best out of everything you had. It was never a high dollar operation. It was, you know, a lot of my stuff came from, you know, tossed out parts by names like Dennis Erb Jr. and Shannon Babb and Billy Moyer. They'd just leave, you know, what their junk was.
Right.
They'd leave it here, and I'd dig through it and make the best out of it. So I always liked efficiency. So my cousin being the HVAC field is like, oh yeah, we use this term superheat for, you know, how efficient a system is. Something about, I couldn't even tell you what exactly it is, but something about overboiling and its efficiency.
Right.
So I thought that was a neat word. We stuck it on the LLC and ran with it.
That's awesome. So what, I know we'll get into a little bit during this shop tour, but what all services does SuperHeat Solutions offer?
So it's been fun doing the whole business, right? So we've had to make a couple pivots. You know, originally it was all body work, and then we started doing part sales, just local pickup stuff, and then somewhere in there COVID hit, and there wasn't a ton of racing going on at the time, so we had to think of ways to, well, how do we keep money rolling in? So it really went to almost all online sales. And then kind of in the background the whole time, I was doing some shock work, and that all started with when I was running for Bowman. I got introduced to the Penske folks, and had a local shock guy, Brock Burton, doing all my shock work locally. And so every couple weeks we'd take shocks off, run them down there, run them on the dyno, check them, make sure they're still good to go. And then I don't know, a year or two into racing, he decided he didn't have time for it. I ended up purchasing the dyno, and you know, he sent all his customers my way.
Gotcha.
So it started off real slow with the shock stuff, but it was always in the background. And then after the COVID deal kind of slowed down, you know, we were kind of faced with another, well, everybody's racing again, everybody's going back to their local parts stores.
Right.
So it was like, all right, what are we going to tackle next? And the shock thing, about every interview with dirt people, oh, shock technology. That right there was kind of where we focused. We decided to focus on that because it's really interesting going and driving a race car, coming in, turning a dial, going back out, and you have a whole different race car.
Right, right.
So it just intrigued me a lot on how you can do that with just the turn of a dial. Well, then you have this whole other aspect of, well, what's inside it?
Right.
So the challenge of shocks, and then all of the pieces that go behind it. You know, if you have a different bar angle, you could use a different shock. So that was kind of where we went next after the online stuff. And so we were doing folks shocks, and they're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing with the car, so can you go through the whole car? So now we do the consulting thing. Me and Dakota actually just went down to Charlotte for the World Final, short track World Finals. I don't know exactly what they call it, but the crate portion. And we wrenched on a car, and it went from being too tight to we're probably a little too free, but got to march forward every time we hit the track. So we do it in-house, we'll travel,
Right.
whatever it is. So the shocks is our big thing now. We still do the body work. We've got a handful in here for bodies.
Gotcha.
And
I've seen a few sitting around waiting for bodies, getting ready to get done, so.
Yep. So anything racing, still do the online part sales. We can ship you anything from safety equipment to shocks to engine bolt-ons. I mean, it does not matter. We've got access to it all, and that's what's nice. Is we're a full service shop. So if you call and you want a set of shocks, but you have questions on bar angles or geometry questions,
right,
we can answer them. And you know, we are going to be the dealer for legacy chassis. One of the things we wanted to start with the shop, we've got all the space now. We went from a 2-car garage to this big shop,
right.
And it's like, we got to use it.
Right.
So we are going to be a dealer for the legacy chassis. It's a combo with Josh Richardson in North Carolina. He's building them down there. Really nice piece. Can't wait to get one up here. Give us about 2 weeks right before the PRI show.
Gotcha.
We'll have one here and on display for the open house that's going to happen.
Gotcha.
So even though we're going to be the dealer for those, we still service all of them. So we worked on a Barry Ride Icon last week. I've been on the phone with folks who have capital cars as late as today. Talking with a guy on a Longhorn last week who won, but still wants to go faster.
Right, right.
So it's nice getting exposure to all the other ones too,
right.
Especially for that legacy chassis. We can take notes, see what works, see what doesn't, and make our stuff even better.
Gotcha. So I think now we're going to do a shop tour, which we're very, very excited about doing. Check this place out and get more in detail on the services that you have to offer, you know. So right now we're going to do a shop tour, so stick with us. All right, so now we're into the shop tour portion of the video. Justin, show us for a little bit around. I know you said we're going to start in the engine room, so I'm assuming that's where we're at.
That is where we're at. So
yeah.
This is where it all started. We've got kind of this brick outlay. This was the original small portion of the shop. So it's where all the engine equipment is. You could start with a complete engine or a broken one, tear it down, fix it up, and have it back going in this area of the shop. It's not really my focus, but
Right. So was this the original, like,
the original building.
this is what CJ built off of pretty much? The
Yep.
original.
Yeah, and then there was multiple add-ons throughout the years as he grew, and it's where we're right now. It's
That's
just kind of
pretty
a clean up portion, and trying to figure out what to do with this area. If I knew anybody local that wanted to build some engines, come on.
Right, come on over.
Because I'm not using it. It's just kind of dead space and
Right.
at the moment, but it's
Definitely a lot of equipment in here.
it's got a lot of history. So a lot of drag engines built. Probably one of my coolest stories in this room is, so this was kind of like Motorsports Lane. So we had CJ Rayburn here. Next door was Bob Glidden,
Right.
big drag guy.
Yep.
There was one night came in here with Bob Glidden and CJ Rayburn and sat and watched them talk about oil ports and a block and how it kept everything flowing. It was just a
Really?
neat experience. Have those two going at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
About racing.
There's been a lot learned just over listening to conversations in this building, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So then,
This is just neat.
yeah. So this was kind of like the sanctuary back when I was
Right.
little. You did not come in here. There was guys building engines, and if you touched their tools, you got a nice. I'll keep this PG. You got reprimanded.
Right.
So,
You surely got told about it, that's for sure.
yes, you did not touch the tools in here. But it was pretty neat because you could be kind of anywhere in the town and hear this room right here behind us was an engine dyno. Dyno's not there anymore, but we kind of loaded up some parts that we want to be able to lock up.
Gotcha.
But man, when he'd fire that thing up, you could hear it across the town, and they'd do their dyno pulls. It was real neat. But a lot of history.
A lot
of engines in it now.
Oh yeah. So where are we at now?
So coming through the engine shop, now we're in the machining area. So these next couple rooms here, they made anything from brake rotors to all the suspension parts. So uppers, lowers, spindles, a lot of suspension tubes, all that stuff was made between this room and the next couple.
I
So they
got you.
had CNC machines, mills, lathe back there, and then we had a dedicated welding room where the spindles and some of the, I guess, tougher parts to make were.
I got you.
A lot of them were cut out back here on this plasma table. Bit of a mess. We haven't really tackled this room yet.
This is a work in progress room.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, we had back in the day when he had this running. You know, there was 2 or 3 guys in the engine shop, and then back here there was a handful just all day cutting parts,
and making parts.
bending parts, welding stuff up, and real neat to be a part of.
Right.
Don't know if we'll ever get that big again,
Right.
but certainly gonna try. So, yeah, and then, you know, when I bought the shop, all the contents got to stay. So we've got, you know, rear end plates still here, parts of spindles, parts of lowers, parts of the swing arms. So, you know, one of the things that we're trying to work on is, you know, retooling up for the Rayburn parts. So I've got a little bit of a front end upfit kit for the new style stuff. going, but I've had a handful of people call and ask for swing arms, and there's none left on the shelf, so we got to figure out how to make them.
Right.
But yeah, all that was done between these couple rooms. Yep, so coming into the main part of the shop, this is where kind of final assembly was done. I've got sheet metal tables, and we'll actually kind of make a loop back to the parts room and then around to where the chassis started, because these things were built 100% here. I mean, we didn't make rear ends, but but all the suspension components, the frames, they started with tubing, and then they got cut, bent, welded together. Early on, there was actually a paint booth, so they would paint them here.
I got you.
Everything was done in the house. And that's kind of, why we like to stick with that one-stop shop aspect for this, because, that's the roots, right?
That is the roots.
We're trying to put a little of the new school spin on it, but at the same time, coming in here with the history, I want to respect that. I want to build on it and, keep that legacy alive.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
We'll go through the parts room.
Yeah, so got some shocks ready to ship out. This is a new set. Got a used set that was freshened up, ready to go. It's kind of like our shipping counter.
Getting everything ready to go out the door.
Yeah, we've got a shock room we'll visit here in a bit, but back here we've got a handful of stock bolt bins so we can put things together.
I got you.
Continuous work in progress back here, but we stock a lot of stuff, springs, power steering parts, fans, hubs, bearings, just all kinds of stuff to keep racers going. Really anything, if somebody breaks something on Friday night, our goal is to be able to get them going Saturday.
That's awesome.
No matter what it is, we've got rear end tubes if stuff gets real bad, but that's the goal.
Go ahead and follow him in there, Luke.
Yeah, we're really just making a big circle here. More stock, more space that we need to get cleaned up. Lots of shocks on the shelf, several different brands. We service them all up, and then part of keeping this deal going is just filling the space. So we've got a couple storage items back here, and
race on Saturday, go fishing on Sunday.
Right, and then we can clear our snow too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've really just made a big circle back to the main area of the shop. Got some folks working, getting ready for the dome. Back here is the jig where the cars are made. We've got this one sitting here. It needs front clip. We'll get that going hopefully right around the time of the PRI show. This is where it kind of starts. Chop, cut, put it together.
Is there an estimated number of cars that's been built on that jig?
I want to say somebody said 5,000. Yeah, this is the one area I kind of stayed away from. I really focused on the suspension side, the bodywork side, as I was growing up. But there is a serious level of respect for anybody that does this kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
When you need something to bend down and connect at a certain point, and I can weld, I can get something to stay together.
Right, but it's just when to that angle.
Yeah, you get the laying of dimes,
yes,
so to speak. That's a level of fabrication that
different level
that I can't do.
Right.
But the new legacy cars, Josh is an amazing fabricator.
Gotcha.
I've been working with him for a couple of years. That's how that deal started. Is he's wanting to build cars. I need to sell them and have the space for it. And,
Pretty good match.
oh yeah, we've been working together on a shock package for a while, and then with my grandpa passing and then his car owner passing at the same time, like right around the same time, it was just you know, we need to lean on each other to make it possible and make it happen.
Yeah, good deal.
So the way these things would be built after the jig and after now powder coat, they'd kind of come in on this end of the shop, and then they just make their way down the assembly line. Down here they'd get, you know, the hard brake lines and start on the interior. And then kind of as they move down the shop, they would get another piece put on, another piece put on, just a nice assembly line as they got put together. And then out the final door, they'd be kind of the finished product, whether it was a race ready car or if it was just a roller.
Gotcha.
You'd have it from frame to ready to hit the track down at the end. So that's kind of what we got going on here. Got 2 out of the 3 sitting here ready in for a body. This one we just pulled an engine out of so we can get it ready for winter storage.
I got you.
That's kind of the race car side of things. And then our last kind of room in the shop that we haven't touched on yet, kind of where our bread and butter is the shock room. We went from a 2-car garage down to a little room. We're making it work. but
a huge building. Kind of, it's weird how,
yeah, we've got a lot of space and nowhere to put stuff.
Right.
So, but in here we've got a handful of different machines that keep us going. New Penske gear drive, shock dyno, AccuForce automated smasher. Those are the 2 machines that get used up. I got Dakota back here working on fixing a Penske that'll be used up next weekend at a AACS race by Tyler Collins. And we got a couple sets in here for freshen ups and fixes.
There's been a little bit, ain't it?
Yeah, that was just kind of
Slight tweak to it.
we call that slightly used. So, yeah, this is what I'm in here almost every single day doing something. And
With the way shocks are, this is kind of the lab now, right?
yes,
Compared to like what the old style, you know, scaling them out and that type of stuff.
yep. Now we scale them out on the spring smasher.
Gotcha.
So,
This is where we go beyond science.
Beyond science.
Yeah. Yep. It's nuts the level that this shock stuff has gotten to. It's really awesome.
Right.
Because Dakota and I went to school for engineering, and you know, now we get to use that.
Right.
We both work at the same place outside of the race car shop. Funny enough, went to school for mechanical engineering, and I work in IT. So
Nice.
it's completely different.
You're right.
So now I get to come in here and use some of the theories inside the shop.
Use some of your degree for stuff that you actually really enjoy, though, honestly.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I fall into that statistically don't use my college degree side, but I get to use it in here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a shop tour and sitting down and talking with us. I know that you got a lot of great things going on right now with SuperHeat Solutions and helping drivers and stuff. And my biggest thing was when I talked to you to Jackson, I was like, let's do something. I mean, because I know it's an awesome business going. So
yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure that you share this video out. You get the SuperHeat Solutions business name out as much as possible. Because like Justin said, you know, if you can find a one-stop shop, I mean, what more could you ask for, you know? So we deal with it every day when we shop. For anything, if you can find a one-stop shop, it's so much better. So,
Oh yeah.
Thank you again for having us, and
Thank you.
make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification to get notified of our newest videos. Thanks for watching.